Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. I'm Jason, bringing you today's episode. I'm not too sure where my fuzzy co-star Freya is, and the wife is at work right now. So, for today I want to go back into, I almost want to say our roots, some of the first kind of genres we did, science fiction. Although I am going to talk about an author that we've talked about in the past. He's definitely one that writes in different genres or subgenres in a way. And this is actually one of my favorites, so please hit the like and subscribe buttons, folks. We're a small family channel. We just appreciate any support. We're going to make these videos for you anyway. We love to talk about books, but if you want to support us, we'd really appreciate it. If nothing else, do it for the dog. Although, of course, she didn't make an appearance today. She's worn out. All that sleeping really exhausted her, so she has to rest. So today I want to talk about the Poor Man's Fight series. The first book is called Poor Man's Fight. I think the second is Rich Man's War, and it's a 5 or 6 book series by Elliot Kay. I'm not going to talk about the first book. I want to talk about the series as a whole, although without any spoilers. I'm just telling you, you have to read this series. You have to read this series. Elliot Kay writes in, like I said, a couple different genres. We talked about one of his other books that's more in an adult style genre. And a lot of the authors, by the way, that write in those subgenres, the haremlets, whatever you want to call them, also write under other pseudonyms and write more mainstream genres. In this case, Elliot Kay he just writes under his Elliot Kay name, regardless of the genre, and he writes fantastic. And this series is one of the first series I came across on my Kindle actually years ago. And again, like I said, absolutely fantastic. It's your typical science fiction, space-based, far future type of genre. Humanity has expanded out huge, to the point where there really are no more countries anymore. You have systems, star systems, but it's not the usual, oh, humanity is spread out and Earth governs this massive empire. No, it's not like that. There's different systems that have their own forms of government, which, if you think about it, is exactly what's going to happen. You can almost look at traveling through space as, maybe late 1700s, early 1800s on Earth. We're traveling with ships back then, right? And we'd go and we'd colonize somewhere, and sure enough, within 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they'd say, you know what, it takes you months to years to come out here. We're going to govern ourselves. We're in charge. We're in charge of our own land. You got to figure that's kind of how it's going to be whenever we if we do manage to expand into other stars. I seriously doubt that it's going to be, jump on the jumbo liner and travel over there in a few hours, or instantaneous communication. Not at first. So very likely, because of distances and the dangers involved in traveling those distances, you're likely going to end up with smaller little governments that may or may not work together. This also takes a little bit out of the cyberpunk kind of mindset, in that corporations have their own armies, have their own security teams. Corporations almost are governments in and of themselves, which you can also kind of see happening. I mean, just look at right now. Look at right now. One of the more well-known space-based I was going to say companies. Well, yeah, companies is a privately owned company. NASA is no longer really looked at as the lead in space. SpaceX is. So you can see corporations, as we manage to expand out, you can see corporations that make money off of it, and probably make more money off it because they'll sink more money into it. They'll probably sink more money into research and development and figure out ways to make money off of it. So, and whoever's got the most money could probably field the biggest army. So that's where the world, or the not universe, the galaxy kind of is at this point. So Poor Man's Fight, Rich Man's War, all the rest of the series, that follows Tanner Malone. Tanner Malone, who is starts out as your typical high school graduate type of kid, right around that age range, that ends up having to join the military and succeeds. Although in Malone's case, it's not like some of the other books that are absolutely fantastic, where they join the military, they end up in special forces, they just have a knack for it, so on and so forth. Tanner Malone ends up an awesome soldier. He ends up a great soldier. There's a lot of happenstance, a lot of luck that goes along with it, and a very ruthless personality. Now, the reason he ends up going, he's an extremely intelligent person, very intelligent person. He had dreams of going to college. The thing about this particular world building that has been done by Elliot Kay is that the corporations control everything. Corporations control everything, including the schooling system. Basically, as you go through your school, you're getting schooled, but it's not free. It's not free. Now, obviously, you don't have a job, so what are you doing? You're accruing debt. You're accruing debt, and depending on how you test when you get out of high school, you'll be able to either continue to accrue your debt by going to college, or you're going to have to go find some other way, and your debt starts becoming starts becoming due. And that's what happens to Tanner Malone. He's extraordinarily intelligent, but he has some personal things that come up that kind of throw him off, and he ends up not doing very well in the test and has very, very few options, so he joins the military. Now, this series, his home system, Archangel, they're kind of, they want to be independent. And as they're looking, you've got pirates and you've got all these other issues going on in space. This corporate security teams and corporate armies really aren't helping very much. So right around when Tanner Malone is joining the military, the Archangel system is starting this big military expansion. And part of it is they kind of see the writing on the wall as far as the future goes. They're tired of being held under this crippling debt because the debt goes through all stratospheres of the society. It's not just the individuals that can have the debt, but the entire star system could owe a recurring, almost unpayable debt to whichever corporation originally helped them colonize it hundreds of years ago. And it's almost like indentured servants in a way, or those corporations back in the day that you go work for them somewhere and they'd supply you with housing and food and all that, but it came out of your paycheck and you can never get ahead. That's kind of how the corporations are treating everything in this world. Pretty much everything owes back to the corporations. Archangel is sick and tired of that throughout this series. So eventually they attempt to rebel, which leads to war and fighting, space-based, ground-based. Tanner Malone is definitely a grunt. This guy is not some space naval general. For those of you guys that have read Elliot K before, you know how he writes. It's fascinating, it's a blast, it's a lot of fun. Tanner Malone is a little bit of a smartass, which also would not be surprising if you read the rest of Elliot K's books. Also, just a touch bit of, you don't want to call him a badass, but as far as a soldier goes, I mean, like I said, he's not Rambo, but he's pretty tough, and he's pretty good, and he can hold his own. And more than anything else, when it comes right down to it, he will do what needs to be done. No hesitation. He's just going to do what needs to be done. He may regret it afterwards, but he's going to do it. Fantastic series, guys. Fantastic series. Elliot K has become the author he has become because he writes poor quality books, and this series would not have grown to be as large as it did if the books were not good and in high demand. You've got to read it. So after you hit those like and subscribe buttons, guys, go check out Poor Man's Fight, first book of the series, which might be called Poor Man's War series, something along those lines. Again, fascinating series. It's a ton of fun. It's a blast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will catch you guys next time. Bye now.